Hi guys, I know what you're thinking. That some of you might want to summon spirits, I'm sure. Um, it's a little dodgy. You have to know what kind of spirits you want to contact. I'm not saying you can't, but you can. Just do it properly and just say goodbye after every session. I mean, you have to end the session and ask the spirit to leave if it's not a nice spirit. Apparently, summoning spirits can be dangerous. I mean, if you're going to use a Ouija board, you know the risk of using one. So I'm going to go over the rules of a Ouija board for those of you who don't know. Never ask the Ouija board your future. The future is not a good thing to ask the Ouija board because it will predict your future and you will not like it. Another thing you never ask the Ouija board is for the spirit on the board to show itself. Apparently, that could cause trouble because it could be an evil entity pretending to be a good entity, and that could cause trouble. Another thing you don't do when using a Ouija board, and this is something you should never do, is use a Ouija board in a graveyard. Because there's so many spirits in the graveyard that you could actually attract the wrong spirit and it would follow you home. And apparently, the spirit you may attract would be a demon or evil entity, or any kind of spirit can come through in a graveyard. Another place you never use a Ouija board alone. Not a good idea. If you're going to use it, have a friend with you or invite someone over. Just stay with you till you're done with the Ouija board and say goodbye and end the session. Maybe just have company with you in case anything happened and you're frightened, because that could help, having someone with you. Another thing is always have a group or never use the Ouija board alone. If you're going to ever do it, and God forbid you don't do it, but if you ever use a Ouija board, have someone with you or do it in a group. It's probably better. Not that it's a safe thing, but if there's a group of people, then you're more likely to be safe. But always say goodbye and close the session. If your Ouija board spells the figure 8, end the session immediately. Close the board. It means the spirit has taken control of the board and controlling your Ouija board. And it may be a demon or an evil spirit, but whatever it is does not want you on the Ouija board and is warning you by showing a sign its presence. Now, sometimes spirits will show their presence, but not in a nice way sometimes, especially at 3 a.m. Not a good time to do that. Another thing you need to watch out for, doing an Ouija board in an old abandoned barn that's haunted, you could attract a spirit. Now, never look behind you to see what's behind you. When the Ouija board tells you to look behind you, do not do it. It's probably behind you, and it's not a good thing to do. I've had that happen to me, and I'm hesitant to look behind me when they say that, because I know that if a spirit says that, it's not a good thing. If the spirit tells you to look under the bed, don't do it, because it could be under the bed and you won't want to find out. Just try not looking under the bed. It's best what can't be seen won't hurt you. That's the saying goes. Now be careful. A spirit could tell you that. It's trying to trick you. Now, as soon as you look under the bed and there's a spirit under the bed, you know what will happen. And it's very scary what will happen. Now, how many of you have ever used this app? I've used it before. I swear to God, it's the most frighteningest, creepiest app on the planet. And it's called the Spirit Board app. And it's like an Ouija board, but more powerful. I tell you, it's the X-rated version of a Ouija board. If that's what you want to call it. It's called the spirit board. My God, it's creepy. I was on it. I asked, is it real? And it pointed to yes. I asked if it was a ghost on it. It said yes. And it told me its name. And then the spirit board started telling me to stay, like it wanted me to stay. And I asked the ghost on the spirit board, how did it die? And it told me a plane crash. And that night I heard noises in the house. I heard thumping and punching under my bed, which I did not like, and I didn't look. But it was telling me to look under the bed. Now that's why you don't go there. You don't go under the bed. I did a stupid thing. I looked under. Didn't see anything for the moment, but I don't really want to look under my bed. I don't like it. I've never done that in my whole life, especially in the dark. I'm terrified of the dark. You know, I can't even sit for 1 minute in the dark. I'm telling you, it's creepy. I have my reasons. I've heard weird noises in the dark, and I can't explain what they are. Some people call them entities. There's another thing you need to know about your Ouija board session, which could happen to any of you, is if the Ouija board starts counting down to 0, 9, 8, all the way to 0, you have to end the session right away. You close the board right away.